She cooks, she streams, and one of our 3 resident MetaTuber girls is finally getting a version 2 model to join the other 2. It is IDL04, Cheerful Bunny 2. With the kits of Precognition, Power Hammer, Overcharge, Biped Legs, and the leg ability of Brilliance, which restores a small amount of HP to all parts when charging Metaforce. Now, at long last, Cheerful Bunny is the last and final member of the 3 MetaTuber girls to finally get her V2 form, and it seems painfully obvious that she's very slightly veering away from the Metaforce-reliant kit she had prior to, in favor of a more conventional and offense-oriented kit, but still maintaining the cutesy and bun appearance that she had overall, while still maintaining her competitive edge. Precognition is a support-based skill that's essentially like a Hypercrypt 2.0, where instead of granting 2 random buffs to herself and all allies, Precognition will instead grant 3 random buffs, and also added in this mix are other boosts such as Conceal or even Stat Cleanse in some cases. The only real drawback to Precognition is that because it does add so many buffs at once, it does also have a slightly lower duration before the buffs wear off. Power Hammer on the right arm is a conventional melee skill with a very nice damage bonus with it too, as upon attacking a target, as long as the user's legs are intact, Power Hammer will be dealing times 1.5 more damage to the incoming target than anticipated. Of course, at the cost that you are not able to dodge or defend until you finish your cooldown. And then Overcharge on the left arm is actually something she's kept from her original kit, but explaining Overcharge briefly, upon attacking a target, it will actually fill their Metaforce gauge by a small amount upon attacking them. Now, you might stop me here and say, but Kura, isn't that actually a bad thing? Doesn't that mean that they can use Metaforce spams on you faster to punish you? Well, you're right. I'm not going to say you're incorrect, because that is most certainly a possible outcome. But here's the catch. It goes in the name Overcharge. Upon attacking a target, it will attack them and fill a charge a small amount as mentioned. But if attacking a target and their Metaforce gauge is full, the damage is quintupled and the attack converts into an AoE attack. That means that if anyone likes to abuse Metaforce reliant nukes with full charge or something of the like, this attack in particular will for sure shut it down quickly before they have a chance to actually do anything with it. Which means that, much like in her previous form, Cheerful Bunny makes it very clear that only those she allows to have Metaforce charge are allowed to keep it, and if they decide to go over a certain amount, she will brutally punish them for it. Biped Legs means that she will have very good coverage across all terrains, as Biped are arguably one of the best all-rounded, and the leg ability of Brilliance is a really interesting touch too, as this does mean that when she is attacked and damaged, but not broken, she can passively restore some HP over time if there is nothing really to do on the field. Her armor pull actually isn't too shabby either, with a head HP of about 3,400, arms about 2,750 each, and her legs at 3,250, so a pretty healthy HP pool for what you'd expect of the female typing. Very good base power too. Again, this is base power, not final stats, with Power Hammer at just shy of 1,600, even if it is the only heavy part on her kit, and Overcharge clocking just over 1,300. Her leg stats actually aren't too shabby either, but just a couple of mild concerns as well. A mobility of 832 is very good in that nice little upper tier you'd want biped legs to be in. An evade of 1068 is kind of in that little mid-range as well, where she'll have a pretty fair time dodging or grazing a lot of incoming blows. A melee resist of 1425 is very good for her though, as this does mean she can most certainly hold her own up close and personal very easily. But she is packing a shoot resist of 609, which is sadly not so great, as this does mean that while up close and personal she can certainly hold her own, when taking pot shots from that enemy sniper she will be taking a pretty considerable amount of incoming extra damage on top of whatever will be dealt already. All this being said though, as a pure set score, I still do have to rate Bunny 2 at a very solid 7.5 out of 10. The kit still has some very solid synergy with each other, and unlike the original form Basic Cheerful Bunny, that focuses very heavily on Metaforce control, between stealing and giving Metaforce or even punishing for it, it seems very obvious and clear that Bun 2 actually likes to do that as well, but trading one of the original moves for something with a little more kick to it. So even if Power Hammer may not be a consistent damaging attack, and she doesn't deal anything that has pierce damage, between that and a fully charged and fully conditional Overcharge, she can make herself a very dangerous threat on the field. And that's not even counting before Precognition goes into effect, regardless of whatever buffs it decides to grant. As mixed parts, I very easily have to rate Bun to a very solid 8 out of 10 as well. Even if by herself she has some very unique synergy among herself with her parts, as separate parts she actually has a lot of very good skills too. And it is also worth mentioning that she is also the very first conventional model that will be permanently available in Medarot S, albeit as a limited pickup, that is bringing Precognition to the table, as previously that was originally a collab-only model between Unit 2 from the EVA collab and Silbalile from the Full Metal Panic collab. But even then, basic parts as well are always very good to hold on to with females as well, and it is also worth noting that despite it being a risky move, Overcharge can grant some very powerful and very good payback and a payoff bonus if used correctly, especially if the enemy likes to use full charge on their first turn and then nuke you with a Metaforce.